Well, we're back. Still chilling in big t-shirts and shorts, and I feel like I might be kind of late to the party on this topic because the pandemic is slowly starting to kind of, kind of work itself out. We're starting to open up again, which is really exciting, and that kind of stuff. But as I was praying about it and really wanting to think about if this was something that was even not necessarily worth, but worth talking about, one of my friends called, Wendy, my little sweet little chicken, and she's like, I'm still really worried about this situation. And so I knew, like, okay, fear is still a very prevalent topic, is still something that people are dealing with when it comes to all of this. But here's what I know. I know that we're living in uncertain times, and people have lost their jobs left and right, and are worried about how they're gonna pay bills or put food on the table, and the coronavirus is scary, and the media is just making it worse by continually sharing stories that just kind of heighten and increase those worries and those fears, right? But the other thing I know is that Jesus did not give us a spirit of fear and timidity. In 2 Timothy, I'm going to read it. Where's my Bible? It's right here. I got notes on there. I had to call unemployment yesterday. Those are all my unemployment, what? Notes. Yeah, okay. All right, 2 Timothy, towards the back. I typed a better version. I don't like the way this one reads. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but one of power, love, and sound judgment. Ooh, power, love, and sound judgment. Yeah, that's what God gives us, not the spirit of fear. That spirit of fear is not from Him. That is not from God. Of course, fear itself is like a natural. What is my hair doing today? Okay. Fear itself is a natural fight or flight response. I do think that God gave us that, right? Like, as part of our genetic makeup as humans, I really can't get over this right now. God gave us this as a way for us to protect ourselves. So for some people, they run away. For some people, they fight. And really, that kind of just depends on how you make up. But what happens when it is something more than that, when it is an emotion that we feel more often than something like jumping out at us in a haunted house, or your family around the corner trying to scare you, or whatever, or when you have to, you're driving and you have to react quickly to avoid an accident, and your heart rate increases and you feel that adrenaline pumping. When it's something more than that, that's when we know it's not from God. Those feelings of constant worry, of dread, for some of us, that looks like depression or anxiety and all of those things, but I don't think that God gave us those things. I really don't. Because God doesn't want us to live a life rooted in fear, because a life of fear doesn't provide those three things: that power, love, and sound judgment. Fear causes you to act out of fear, not out of sound judgment. Fear does not make you act out of love, and fear does not make you feel like you're powerful. It's 4:40 in the afternoon. Words should not be this hard. But Jesus wants you to live a life that is joyful, spirit-led, and not driven by fear. Focus. So I thought I would kind of share about how I actually lived a chunk of my life just in fear. So during my first semester of college, I still get, when I think about it, so just bear with me. This might be the YouTube video you see me cry. Yeah, we went there. Okay, So during my freshman year of college, literally first semester of my freshman year of college, like 3 weeks into the semester, I had a seizure in my 8 a.m. class. Yeah, like blacked out. Have no idea. I was awake 1 second, felt really nauseous, thought I was gonna throw up. Eyes rolled back into the back of my head. Black ensued, and then I woke up, and everyone was looking at me, and I was like, can y'all sit down? What's happening? What the dump? It was horrible. Anyway, but a week before that, I had passed out in my bathroom of my dorm and went to the ER, and after several tests, they just decided and thought that my heart had skipped a beat. And so, because my heart literally, not like, oh, I saw a cute boy and my heart skipped a beat, barf, no. I literally, like, my body thought I was dying. So, I don't want to wear these right now. So, went to go see a cardiologist, and he wanted, there's a feather. Went to see a cardiologist, and he wanted me to wear a heart monitor for the next like 4 months, basically. And he said we would just, like, you know, go over routinely kind of the information it sent back. So that was like the second week of school. A week later, before the heart monitor had come, that's when I had my seizure in my 8 a.m. class. And if you ever want to hear a really funny story about me in the hospital, this was a really funny story. My body reacts to drugs differently, and I take it kind of hard. So, like, anytime I'm under anesthetic or a sedative, I get really funny. Yeah. So if you ever want to hear it, let me know. But yeah, that experience in the hospital was life-changing, really. For me, it's so I was at school, had to get in the ambulance, get transported to the hospital. So I was there at the hospital alone. I called my mom. I was like, hey, it's casual. I'm going to the hospital. Had a seizure in my class. So just whenever you can get down to San Marcos, I'll be at the only hospital in San Marcos, so you'll know where to find me. Okay, I love you, bye. My mom was like, what? And I was like, it's fine, Mom. I'm fine. I'm fine. It's casual. It wasn't casual, but I play everything off because I don't like to deal with negative emotions, okay? I just don't. So, I go to the hospital. I'm in there. I had the world's best nurse. He had a daughter who was around my age, and she was off at college, and so I think he just had this tenderness in his heart towards me, realizing that, like, one, I have no idea what's going on with my body. I literally just passed out in a class, and now I'm at the hospital alone. For the first time ever, I'm an 18-year-old chilling at the hospital alone, waiting for my mom to get here. And so he didn't leave me alone for very long, which is one of the, like, sweetest memories that I have from this entire experience, because he made sure that he, one, always had me in, like, an eye's distance, and when he did have to step out, it would be for a maximum of like 5 minutes. He didn't want to leave me alone, and I wish I remembered his name, because I would, to this day, send him cookies on the anniversary of that day every year, because he made such an impact on me in that moment. So shout out to all the nurses and doctors, especially going through this kind of situation, pandemic, like, love y'all. Reining it back in. So I spent the next 4 months of my life, I got the heart monitor in and had to attach it, and I spent the next 4 months of my life wearing this heart monitor from like September to January. And I also spent the next 4 months of going to doctor's visits. My mom would drive down. I went to school. I'm from Round Rock, Texas, and went to school in San Marcos, which is probably about an hour drive depending on traffic. And my mom, almost every Friday, if not every Friday, was picking me up from school and driving me to a doctor's appointment in San Marcos, a doctor's appointment in Austin, driving me home for the weekend. I like basically didn't live at my dorm except for during the week, because I was just like not well, right? Like I was so freaked out that like being alone, and I wasn't alone, I had a roommate, but just being far from my family was just like an added stress. But during this like 4-month stint, and really it kind of continued until longer than that, but that is a whole new topic for a whole new day. But during those like solid 4 months, like I struggled immensely with body image, and not because I thought I was fat, but I struggled with it because I had like wires all over me. So I spent 4 months wearing baggy, like I'm not a tiny person, but I'm also not large, but I would wear extra large t-shirts, not because they're comfortable, but because I wanted to hide the fact that I was wearing wires, and disguise them, and I didn't want anyone to know. I just wanted to be and feel for 5 minutes normal. And the heart monitor, those pads that you have to attach, I actually had an allergic reaction to them. I literally broke out after probably 2 months of wearing them. But they're so sticky and everything, but the whatever made them, the adhesive, 1, made me break out, and 2, made my skin raw from them. So then I had to switch to these other adhesive pads, which weren't as sticky, so I was constantly like pushing them back on, which then only added to the fact that like I continued to not feel normal. I also blew through those pads and was like, hey doc, can you send me some more? So anyway, that's not important. But I really struggled with body image because I just wanted to feel normal, but all I could see were wires. And then at one point, like I wouldn't, I guess honestly for months, like I didn't think I was beautiful. I didn't look in the mirror because all I could see when I looked at myself were wires, because when I looked in the mirror, it was to like throw on some makeup, put my hair up, and then I had to look in the mirror to make sure I was putting the attachments on in the right spot. And I could do it looking down, but it was easier especially because there was one that I had to like put like right here. Super complicated, whatever. But I didn't look in the mirror because I just couldn't. And at one point during all of this, and this is the part that like it kills me, and I still think about it, and I was like, God, I cannot believe I thought about myself like this. But I had to get electrodes attached to my head. And I remember the electric lady had to glue them all into my head, leaving. And I sat up and I looked in the mirror, and the way they have to attach it is they have to put like gauze around your head. So I looked kind of like a mummy, right? Because gauze everywhere, like literally like a chin strap and everything. God, it was horrible. I hope none of you ever have to have this done. And it was a weekend study, so they wanted me to do it for a full 72 hours. And I was like, I can't, because I still have class on Friday and I'm not missing class on Monday, so you get me for 48, thanks. But for those 48 hours, I was miserable. Absolutely miserable, because I sat up and I looked at myself and I was like, this is it. This is what it feels like to be dying. wow, told you I was gonna cry. I spent that weekend hating everything about myself. I spent that weekend completely in fear. I couldn't do anything. I had to have a video camera on me 24/7. The only time it couldn't be on me was if I was going to the bathroom. So I had like 30 wires coming off of me from my head and my heart thing. And again, I refused because I hated the way I looked. And for months, I was angry with God for making me struggle with this medical condition that I never got an answer for. Not once. They said it was stress-induced, which I guess is an answer, but it didn't feel, and it still doesn't feel like an answer. But it's the one I got, and that's just what I'll have to deal with, right? So, for months, I cried, clearly. Like, it's still really tender because I had so much hurt in my heart and frustration and fear and negative emotion about myself and about this person that I know God created and had a plan for. But I was so afraid. During that time, I lived in this state of fear because I was so scared to have another seizure. Any little thing, my heart rate would increase randomly. I would feel dizzy. I would feel nauseous. Anything like that made me so nervous that I shut down. I lived my life in so much fear that I didn't do anything. And I was afraid to work out because of my heart. And I was like, oh my gosh, what if I pass out mid-set? What if I literally take a straight up weight to the head, right? How awful would that be, right? Worst case scenario for everything was in my head. But I knew if I went to go work out and my heart started to do funny things, that the heart monitor would catch that, and then my cardiologist would catch it, and then we would have a reason for why my heart did whatever it did. But in my head, I was like, I can't do that because I can't have a seizure. Mostly because I wanted to continue to drive 6 months after that. 18, right? Oh, gosh. Gotta love it. But I let fear control my decision making, my thoughts, my emotions, because I was so afraid and nervous to have another seizure, knowing full well that doctors couldn't find a reason for why it even happened in the first place. So I let myself, instead of saying, well, doctors don't know why it happened, so I'm just going to keep living my life, I said, doctors don't know why it happened, so I'm not going to do anything. So here's my 2 cents. And if you're watching this video, you asked for them. Not exactly, but whatever, here they are. Keep being faithful. Keep praying for the world. Keep asking God to bring you comfort when you face things that are uncomfortable. Turn off the dang news. Turn it off. From your phone, from the TV. If you see something, scroll right past it. You don't need to consume your life with the coronavirus. You don't need to consume your life with negative things. Now, if you see something funny about the coronavirus, send it to me. Share it with me. I want to chuckle, okay? Those Golden Girl memes that are going around, live for them. Some of these funny, I can't even think of what they're called, but funny things, send them my way. I love them. Look for the good in the world. Take care of your mental health. Do the things you feel God calling you to do. Do the things that you never have time, or say you never have time to do. Do them now. You have time. Do the things that bring you joy. And I don't mean happiness, because Happiness is an emotion and it is fleeting, but joy is everlasting, and that is a whole new topic for a whole nother day, and I promise that's one I'll talk about because I feel very strongly about it. But be faithful in the everyday. For some of us, that's looking for a job. For some of us, that's working from home or being the best parent slash teacher slash parent. They're interchangeable. Some of you are teachers. God bless you. Some of you are parents that are trying to learn to be teachers. God bless you. I'm so thankful to not be a parent of a young child at this point. I couldn't. So shout out to y'all. For some of us, it's showing up as an essential employee every day and being faithful and obedient in that. And for all of us, it's being faithful and obedient in where God has us at this moment. Also, take this right here, this moment, these 5 seconds that I'm going to talk about it. Thank you to the healthcare workers, teachers, delivery people, food, grocery, all of you. Thank you for being open so people like me can take care of my needs. These times are uncertain, but Jesus is not. He is steadfast and unwavering. And my hope is that you would take on the spirit of power, love, and sound judgment as we continue to work through the pandemic. But we will also face uncertain times outside of a pandemic. For me, it was that health situation. For you, it might be something else. It might be health. I don't know. But again, God is unwavering. And you are not meant to live your life in fear. You just aren't. You just aren't.